It was supposed to be a peaceful weekend. I had just completed the most outrageous purchase of my life, a fully loaded luxury houseboat. My dream? To dock on the man-made lake I had dug on my private ranch in Texas. No crowds, no slip fees, no rules. Just me, the water, and a cold drink. But apparently, freedom doesn't sit well with everyone. Barely 7 minutes after I had eased the boat onto my lake and turned on the stereo, a sheriff's deputy rolled up the dirt road like I was smuggling gold. Sirens, dust clouds, and all. Behind him were 2 other officers and a nosy neighbor I hadn't seen in years, pointing like she just witnessed a bank robbery. "Sir, we received a call about a large vessel being illegally operated." The officer said, resting his hand on his belt like he was preparing to take me in. "Is this your boat?" "Yep, and that lake?" "Also mine," I replied calmly, sipping my iced tea. Problem? They didn't like that. Apparently, someone reported a suspicious structure floating on water, and the assumption was that I had somehow illegally transported the boat from a public marina through county land. I laughed, gentlemen. I said, "I had this boat delivered by trailer. The lake's mine. The land is mine. The water is rain-fed and legal. I can float a UFO here if I want." Still, they weren't satisfied. They started calling code enforcement, asking about zoning laws, possible waterway regulation, and even wetland impact. The whole thing was ridiculous. But I wasn't mad. I was entertained as they were standing there trying to figure out what part of the Constitution said I couldn't float my own boat in my own lake. Something sparked in my mind. If this boat caused that much a stir, imagine how rattled they'd be if I took this freedom a step further. I pulled out my phone and dialed a number I'd gotten 6 months ago when I first toured a marina on Lake Granbury. I had jokingly asked if it was for sale. The owner had laughed and said, "For the right price, anything is that I made him an offer right then and there, double his appraisal price." He stuttered, told me he'd call back. I gave him 15 minutes, be by the time the deputies were trying to call their captain. I'd already wired the deposit to buy the marina. They assumed I stole this boat from. "Hey, officer," I called, waving them back toward the dock where my houseboat bobbed peacefully. "You may want to call off the paperwork. As of about 2 minutes ago, I now own the marina you're worried I launched from." Which, by the way, I didn't he blink like I had slapped him. "You bought the marina?" "Yep, just now." "Ask them. Tell them the new owner says hi." The silence was golden. Even my nosy neighbor stopped mid-sentence, her jaw nearly hitting the gravel. But I wasn't done till I walked over to my truck and pulled out the plans I had drawn up months ago. Expansion blueprints for the ranch lake. Docks, a mini fuel station, a boathouse lounge. I smiled. I didn't bring this boat here just to float. I told the stunned deputies. This lake? It's going to be the most exclusive private marina in the county. Membership by invitation, only point when the younger officers laughed, unsure if I was bluffing. But when I showed him the deed papers on my iPad, he just whistled and shook his head. "You really did it," he said. "You actually bought it just now, yup. And if y'all ever want to fish here or tie up your boat, bring beer. And maybe an apology." The cops left without saying much more, probably wondering how a simple houseboat turned into a power play. My neighbor stormed off, probably regretting ever making that call. And me? I sat back on the deck of my new houseboat, turned the music up a little louder, and toasted the sunset. In under 10 minutes, I had gone from being suspected of trespassing to becoming the owner of the very place they thought I had broken into. Let this be a lesson. When you own your land, your lake, and your life, nobody gets to tell you where you can float. And if they try, by the whole damn shore, subscribe to Channel Stories Fear.